Hello everyone, welcome to lesson 10 of section A. So today we're looking at percentages part 2. So we're pretty much finishing off percentages here, percentages questions, but in the next video we're going to look at interest. So the agenda. Today we're looking at two more. So last video we looked at 3 types of percentage questions. Go look back at that if you've not watched it yet, but we're going on to 2 more types now. So the first type is finding percentage changes. And second type is finding original values. So let's get started. So finding percentage change. So we've got a formula for this, or an equation, and this is quite useful. So we've got the equation is percent change equals change divided by original value times 100 or 100%. So you can also write it as this: percent change equals new value minus old value, which shows you the change, divided by old value times 100%. So the bottom one is a bit more detailed and easier to understand. It also says if the result is positive, so if you've got a positive percentage, then the percent change has been increased. If the result is negative, it's been a decrease in percentage. So let's get started with a few examples. So all you need to do is put the numbers into the equation, then into your calculator, and then it pretty much gives you your answer. It's quite simple, really. So here's an example. A businessman buys bags of apples for £1.25. He then sells them for £2.50. Find his profit as a percentage. So we're looking for his profit, which is the percentage as a percentage change. So you can give this a go now if you think you're confident enough, but if you're not, I'll go through it in a second. All right, you ready? Okay, so first, write down the formula, which is percent change equals change divided by original times 100. So we need to find out the change first of all. So change, remember, is the new value minus the old value. So 2.5 minus 1.25 divided by 1.25 gives us 1. Then we have to multiply it by 100 to give us the percentage, which is 100%. And 100% basically just means he's doubled his what he had at the start. So he's basically, you can quite clearly see that he had £1.25. He bought some stuff and then sold them for £2.50. He doubled his money. So it's 100% increase. So it's positive as well. So here's one that you can try. A trader buys a table for £20, but only sold it for £15. Find out his profit as a percentage. All right, so pause the video now, give it a go, and I'll go through it in a second. All right, so formula. Percent change equals change divided by original times 100. So change equals 15 minus 20. New value minus old value. 15 minus 20 equals minus £5, negative £5. So the percent change equals negative £5 divided by the original, which is £20. Then we times that by 100, which gives us, okay, there's a mistake here. We don't times it by 100 yet. We get negative 0.25, which is then we times by 100, which gives us negative 25%. So the answer is minus 25%. So he's lost money. Just ignore the multiply by 100 on the second to bottom line. So now it's time for the next question type. We've got finding the original value. So this is the most common percentage question that people get wrong, but it's actually pretty easy. The main reason people get this wrong is because they don't understand what the question is asking. So once you understand what the question is asking, it's quite easy. So the simple method is write the number in the question as a percentage of the original value. So you'll see what that means in a minute. Divide to find 1% of the original value. Then multiply by 100 to find the answer. And that's the answer. So here's an example. I'm going to go through this because this is slightly more complicated. A house increases in value by 15% to £150,000. Find out what it was worth before the rise in value. Okay, so step 1, £150,000 equals 100% plus the increase, which is 15%. So it equals 115%. So it might be hard to get your head around percentage being greater than 100, but it's basically just saying £150,000 is 150% of the original value. So then the step 2 was divide to find 1%. So what we need to do here is divide by 115 to get 1%. So you always divide by the percentage of the original, which is 115 in this case. So that gives us £1,304, and that equals 1%. Now the final step is multiply by 100, which gives us £130,000 for 130,400. Okay, so that's the answer. And this makes sense because if a house is increasing in value, the value before it increased is going to be less than the value now. So that makes sense for the answer. Let's say we got £200,000. It's not going to increase in value by 15% to a higher original number. So that doesn't make sense. You need to make sure your answer makes sense. So here's a question for you. Make sure your answer makes sense and give it a go. If you need to figure out the how the steps, just go back in the video to have a look at them. Okay, so a car increased in value by 30% to £25,000. Find out how much it was worth before the increase. Okay, so the answer. Step one, we need to write it the new price as a percentage of the original. So £25,000 equals 130%, because again, we're just doing 100% plus 30. Then to get 1%, we divide by 130, which gives us £192.3 30 pence is 1%. And then we multiply that by 100 to get the original value. So it's £19,230. So this makes sense again because the car was worth less and then it increased in value. So it should be less than £25,000. So that's a good way to make sure you've got the answer right. I hope this video was useful to you. If it was, please like, share and subscribe and keep up to date with the future content. Thanks a lot.